My name is John Locke. Before I begin to study anything, I always analyze my personal experiences. The I remember when stories that help validate wisdom before I speak. I then cross-examine it with scripture, since that is what I live by. Or in this case, I look at my philosophy. It's called tabula rasa. By doing so, I have established boundaries that will either connect or disconnect with the definition blank tablet. When placed in an educational setting, however, tabula rasa transforms from an idealistic perspective into a realistic application that solidifies the importance of experience. Choose a common object that is universally understood, like a blackboard that's in a classroom setting. The blackboard represents the learner and his or her cognitive thinking. But the answer to any question represents the teacher. This is where the experience begins. The key components are experiences in life, which are solid. They cannot be taken away or declared impossible to have occurred. The writer, Inga Bell, has grouped tabula rasa under 5 common components associated with the root word ism. First, a distinctive behavior or practice. Second, there has to be a system. Third, of course, there has to be a philosophy. Fourth, technically speaking, political ideology. And then last, there is an art form, which allows a blank tablet to move under, in, or around any philosophical time period through adaptation, creating a type of container designed to absorb questions and distinctively illustrate synonymously a change. So my philosophy does not get confused by other philosophers. You do know I have quite a few critics out there. But in this classroom setting, the teacher has the authority to use their experiences on a tabula rasa, which is also defined as a blank tablet, especially when the learner doesn't know how to read, write, or comprehend. It's blank and the sky is the limit. Let me give you a more clairvoyant example. Think about your favorite all-you-can-eat buffet. On this buffet that is just about anything you could think of and then some. When you go to the buffet, you generally pick up a blank plate and you get to select anything that you want. You get to come back anytime that you want. Get as much of it as you want, as long as you can consume it. What are you going to pick? And what will you come back for? This is like the blank tablet, which is called the tabula rasa. When you finish making your selection, you take your plate back to your table, and there exists a person who doesn't have the capability of going to the buffet for whatever reason, and they have to choose for themselves what you have already selected for yourself. They too have a blank plate, and then they have to make their selection. You don't know whether they're going to enjoy what you have, because everyone has a different palate. Yet in the atmosphere, there's always someone who shares the same taste that you do. It is the same thing with philosophy. It's like going to a buffet. Instead of food, there are philosophical theories that you can choose from. You get to choose the ones that you want. You get to leave the ones that you don't want. And when you walk into a classroom, anytime there's a teacher, they have done the same process. And anytime there is a learner, which we call students, they're going to choose or make the selection cognitively thinking from whatever it is that's on the plate of the experienced teacher. The key components are the experiences in life, which are solid. They cannot be taken away because the sky is the limit. For simplicity, let's say the student graduates to the next level after learning to read, write, and comprehend one sentence. When the same student is introduced to a new teacher, the sentence is erased and the process begins again with a tabula rasa. The second teacher is unaware of the first sentence simply because his or her philosophy is different. This represents change. Regardless if the second teacher uses the same sentence or not, I want to show whether or not the learner adapted the skill set of reading, writing, and comprehension. As long as the skill has been learned, construct reading and writing remain constant throughout the learner's educational experience in an ideal environment. However, if sensory is left out of the experience, the tablet of comprehension remains blank. In my study essay, I combined 4 books that detail my philosophical concepts. The first is before we can analyze the world and our access to it, we have to know something about ourselves. The second is all of our ideas come from experience, language, and the role it plays in our theorizing is very important, and knowledge, belief, and opinion is the fourth concept. Let me be clear. Sight gives us ideas of color, hearing gives us ideas of sounds, and my idea of a particular tone is the product of my being in the vicinity of a piano while it was playing. I think the human mind is incredibly active. It is constantly performing what I call operations. I invite you to read my study essay.